Hello, little story lovers, and welcome back to our cozy corner. Are you ready for a tale that's a little bit messy, a little bit funny, and a whole lot of fun? Great. Let's dive into the story of Bunny and Ducky's mud pie disaster. Once upon a time, in a bright and cheerful place called Sunny Meadow, lived two of the very best friends you could ever imagine. There was Bunny, who loved to hop through the tall green grass, his long ears flopping with every bounce. And then there was Ducky, who loved nothing more than to splash in the cool, clear pond, his little webbed feet paddling with joy. One beautiful morning, the world felt extra fresh and new. A big, gentle rain had fallen all through the night, leaving behind sparkling dewdrops on every leaf and, most importantly, big, wonderful, squishy puddles of mud. As Bunny peeked out from his burrow and Ducky waddled out from his nest by the pond, their eyes lit up at the same exact moment. They took a deep breath and, with big, happy smiles, they both shouted at the same time, "Let's make a mud pie." It was the perfect day for it. Excitedly, they raced to the biggest, muddiest puddle they could find. Bunny, full of energy, grabbed a big stick and started mixing the mud. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. He stirred so fast, trying to make the mud perfectly smooth. Meanwhile, Ducky, who believed every mud pie needed plenty of water, waddled over with his beak full. "More water," he quacked, and with a big splash, he poured it all in. But maybe, just maybe, Bunny was a little too fast, and maybe, just maybe, Ducky added a little too much water, because what happened next was a mudsplosion splat. A giant bubble of mud erupted from their puddle and flew everywhere. It landed on Bunny's soft white fur. It splattered all over Ducky's smooth yellow feathers. It even plopped right on top of the cute little carrot hat that Bunny always wore. For a moment, they just stared at each other, covered from head to toe in brown, gooey mud. Then a tiny giggle escaped from Bunny. Ducky let out a little quack of laughter. Soon they were both laughing so hard that they rolled around in the puddles, making even more splashes. Oh, what a silly, muddy mess they were. It was the funniest disaster they had ever been in. After their laughter subsided, they decided to try again. "Okay, let's lift our pie," said Bunny, feeling determined. They both grabbed a side of their wobbly mud creation. They heaved and they hoed, they wiggled and they wobbled, but just as they lifted it up, splat! The pie fell apart again, making an even bigger mess than before. This time, it wasn't so funny. Bunny looked at the pile of mush, and his long ears drooped down. He sighed a big, sad sigh. "We can't do anything right," he mumbled, his voice quiet and wobbly. The mud pie was a failure, and he felt like a failure too. Seeing his best friend so sad, Ducky shook the mud from his wings and waddled closer. "That's not true, Bunny," he quacked with a determined shake of his tail feathers. "We just need a new plan. Yes, we can do this. We just have to work together, duckies." I sparkled with an idea. "How about this?" I'll do the splashing to get the mud just right, and you can use your paws to do the shaping." Bunny's ears perked up a little. Teamwork. That was a great idea. So they tried again, but this time as a team. Ducky carefully splashed just the right amount of water into the mud. Splash, splash, splash. Then Bunny, with his clever paws, hopped around the puddle and began to pat, pat, pat the mud into a perfect circle. They worked side by side, a splash from Ducky, a pat from Bunny, a hop, a giggle, and another pat. It was like a happy, muddy dance. Slowly but surely, their new mud pie started to take shape. It was round, it was tall, and it was perfectly sturdy. Finally, the most magnificent mud pie they had ever seen stood proudly in the middle of the meadow. To make it extra special, they decorated it. They found beautiful wildflowers, shiny little pebbles, and a few pretty green leaves, placing each one carefully on their masterpiece. Just then, the sun peeked out from behind the clouds, its warm rays shining down on Sunny Meadow. The light hit their creation, and their muddy pie sparkled as if it were a delicious chocolate cake covered in jewels. All the other animals in the meadow who had been watching their messy adventure began to laugh and cheer. "Hooray for Bunny and Ducky," they cried. Bunny and Ducky looked at each other, their faces still covered in mud, and broke into the biggest, proudest smiles. They were muddy, they were messy, but standing next to their beautiful mud pie, they were perfectly happy. They had learned that even the messiest day can be the most fun when you have a friend by your side, and that teamwork really does make everything better. And that, my friends, is the end of our story. I hope you enjoyed the muddy adventure of Bunny and Ducky. Remember, working together can turn any disaster into a wonderful success. Thank you so much for listening. If you liked our story, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more fun tales. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.